We're now 2 weeks into the second season of Alex Kurtzman's bastardization of Gene Roddenberry's creation. This week's abomination was called New Eden and was directed by Jonathan Frakes. What the hell, Frakes? Are you that hard up for money? I kind of feel bad for Frakes. He's actually a good director, but not so much here. You made me seasick, dude. I guess Kurtzman forced Frakes to use STD's trademark NYPD Blue on steroids filming technique. We start with Imposter Spock narrating some crap about monsters and visions. We then learn that Spock is in the loony bin. Good job, STD. Last week you depicted young Imposter Spock as a serial killer in the making, and now old Imposter Spock is nuts. Again, I offer my sincere apologies to the late Leonard Nimoy on behalf of Star Trek fandom. Imposter Spock decided that he didn't want his family to know. I can definitely see why he didn't want Michael Burnham involved. Her presence is bound to make any type of mental instability even worse. Apparently, Spock doesn't like Burnham very much, and they haven't spoken in years. Well, Imposter Spock, at least you've taken one position I admire. Then some crap happens. I couldn't really pay attention to it because I was distracted by Burnham's pomposity. They detect a signal or some crap and use the plagiarism drive to travel to pointless plot contrivance planet. I forgot the name because I don't care. As a side note, Anas Abdim should be happy that they used his invention, which means that he can claim this episode too. If you don't know what I'm talking about, the writers last season, who couldn't come up with their own ideas because they suck, ripped off their ideas from Anas Abdim. Now he's suing STD and CBS, and rightfully so. If you want to look into this in more detail, then I highly suggest checking out Nerdrotic and Midnight's Edge, if you haven't already. They have dissected this issue far better than I could. They run into some humans in New Eden and a church that was brought to this planet about 250 years ago by the Red Plot Contrivance thing around the time of World War III, which was probably caused by SJWs. Maybe some straight white male world leader white mansplained to another world leader and all hell broke loose. Sad to say this ain't that far-fetched, folks. Because these people are technically pre-warp, General Order 1, also known as the Prime Directive, applies. Kirk never paid attention to the Prime Directive, so why should we start now? Pike, our fake Vulcan egomaniac, and nameless crew member from Season 1 beam down. We don't know much about nameless crew member other than apparently she grew up in a Luddite collective, is a non-believer, and can't act. That last part seems to be a requirement for STD. Speaking of can't act, Tilly starts messing with the Rock to help Stamets with the plagiarism drive and gets knocked flat on her ass. Then in sickbay, STD's terrible acting gets even worse when we get introduced to whatever the hell this is supposed to be. The acting is so bad that I couldn't figure out if this scene was supposed to be intentionally funny or accidentally funny. Jesus. Then Saru starts to berate Tilly for being an idiot, but then this turns into a praise session to remind the audience of how great she is. I guess she's following in the steps of Burnham. We of course get reminded again that she's in the command training program. Good lord, I feel bad for anybody that ends up under her command. Captain Killy indeed, because if you end up on her ship, you're fucking dead. We then learn that the inhabitants of New Eden are NPC cultists or something. Whatever. I really don't give a shit. They combined all religions into one. Please explain to me how this would work. Some of these religions are completely incompatible with each other. Then we learn that the ring around the planet is being a dick and is going to cause an extinction level event from other nameless crew member. It's the one with that thing on her head. Then Burnham starts fake Vulcan-splaining to Pike and demands that the New Eden people be reintegrated into the human civilization. Pike says no, and Burnham gives a bitchy face. They then get knocked out by pointless side plot dude, and I smiled a little. He then locks them in the basement, but pointless cast member number 1 who can't act gets them out. We then go back to sickbay and get one of the worst sequences of acting I've ever seen on Star Trek as Tilly has a conversation with, again, whatever the hell this is supposed to be, which is obviously building to some kind of ridiculous delusion arc brought on by the Red Thing plot contrivance. Non-existent terrible acting character reminds Tilly that she's a genius, and then Tilly runs the wrong way down the corridor, because that's what counts for humor in STD. It's like it was written by a 5-year-old. Tilly, now known as Burnham Jr., then bursts onto the bridge to save the day. More silliness then occurs with pointless side plot dude and imposter Pike ends up getting shot. The Discovery saves the day, and we get a few more lines from our formerly mute bridge crew and come to realize that they probably should have stayed mute because none of them can act. Then back on the planet, they saw the gang beam up because Burnham, apparently, didn't realize that it might be a good idea to hide or something before beaming. Such lazy writing. Then we see Tilly's friend, that can't act, as a child, that can't act, and learn that she knew this person during her childhood. But now that person is actually dead. Gee, I didn't see that coming. Then Burnham makes a joke about not doing funny. Well, at least you got that right. Burnham then tells Pike that she saw the Red Thing plot contrivance last week. You know, that scene where we all got excited for a minute because we thought the character was actually being killed off. Then Pike goes and breaks the Prime Directive anyway after being fake Vulcan-splained by Burnham and ends up giving pointless side plot dude a super battery in exchange for a helmet with a video of the red plot contrivance just so we could see what had already been explained because STD doesn't believe in subtlety because it sucks. The end. And that's it for today. Don't forget to subscribe and follow me on Twitter. And as always, everyone, thank you for watching and have a great day.